Hello, and welcome to the May edition of Comments from the Capitol. I'm State Representative Ed Brooks, and I'm here to answer your questions about what's going on in the state legislature. We're in the process of getting further and further into budget negotiations, and some of the things that have happened lately are what I'd like to bring you up to date on. We're going to begin with a question from Vince in Richland Center. Vince says the governor's budget made sweeping changes to Wisconsin's long-term care programs such as IRIS, Family Care, and the Aging and Disability Resource Centers. You have said you are against these changes in the budget. As it stands now, will the governor's recommendations stand? Well, that's a great question, Vince. The governor's recommendations will not stand. They have been removed from the budget by the Joint Finance Committee. That's something I wanted to see, and I'm pleased that they have done that. Going forward, there will be a standalone bill that has the stakeholders involved to see what is best as we go forward. But for the time being, those programs are out of the budget. They will be as you currently have them. The second question comes from Lisa in Mauston, who writes, I've heard a lot about the decrease in funding to K-12 education in this budget. What are your feelings on this proposal? Well, Lisa, that's a good question, and my feelings are that we cannot afford to cut K-12 funding. I'm pleased that the Joint Finance Committee has taken the governor's proposal and reversed it, actually. The governor is calling for a slight reduction the first year. They've been able to backfill that money and then also add some additional money in the second year. This amounts to about a $200 million increase in funding to K-12 education, and I'm pleased for that because they heard the outpouring of support for such a move. And last but not least, Jack from Necedah says, what elements of the budget are still being discussed and voted on by the Joint Finance Committee? Well, Jack, there's two major issues that are still being worked on as we talk right now. One is transportation funding. The governor's budget called for a high level of bonding. Actually, all the sources of revenue would essentially, any increase came from additional bonding. And to myself and most members of the legislature, we had some serious reservations on that. As you go down the road a couple of years, it would not have been sustainable. A higher and higher amount of our money would have gone for debt service, and that was not, or is not, acceptable. As they continue to look at this, we don't know what the end result will be. There may be some adjustments in fees. Our registration fees are less than some of our neighboring states. There may be some adjustment in gas tax revenue. We've not had an increase in that since we quit indexing. I think that was in 06 or 08. And so there's just a whole lot of variables yet, but we hope to see something other than the governor's proposal when we get ready to vote on a little bit later. The second part of your question, the next big item to be dealt with is the university system. If you recall, the governor's budget slashed $300 million from the university system. There's some discussion of allowing it to be an authority similar to the University Hospital Authority. The authority part has been taken off the table. Joint Finance is working on trying to restore some funding. I hope they're able to do that, but again, I stand somewhat in opposition to what the governor is proposing here. I do not believe we can have this kind of a cut, and I hope that they'll be able to restore some. I'm particularly concerned about the level of cuts to our two-year campuses. In the 50th district, we have a campus right in Richland Center, and then we also have one adjacent to our district at UW Center Baraboo. These campuses do not have the resources to make this kind of a budget adjustment, and I would hope that they might get some special consideration when the Joint Finance Committee makes their final recommendation. Along with that, UW Extension happens to have offices in every county in the state. And again, they are essentially a people operation. They don't have the resources, tuition or fees like that to make adjustments to offset the loss of income. So I'm hoping that they, along with the two-year campuses, will get some separate consideration. But thank you for the question. And that's about it for the Capitol Report. Capitol Comments is wrapping up the month of May, and we hope that you had a thoughtful and reflective Memorial Day, and that as we go forward, we continue to remember the sacrifices that people gave so that we can have the freedoms that we have. Until next month, I'm State Representative Ed Brooks from the 50th Assembly District. Have a good month.